In the Pits now has a Patreon. Whether you want to get directly involved with the show, have a product or brand you want to promote, or just want to show support, In the Pits Patreon has tiers for all levels. Head to patreon.com/inthepitspaintballpodcast to check out the supporter, sponsor, and partner tiers. Opening up a Patreon was a level I could never have imagined getting to when starting this show a year ago. And whether I get 1,000 subscriptions or not a single one, I'm still super thankful for all of the support I've received from all of you. Enjoy the episode. In the Pits is partnered with Hydra. Designed by players for players, you can outfit yourself in Hydra gear from head to toe. Have confidence that when you make a purchase from Hydra, you are purchasing a well-tested and well-thought-out product, trusted by several top teams, including first-place semipro team PaintballFit.com. I personally recommend their Hydra Black knee pads. Purchases over $100 receive free shipping. Head to hydra.fit to browse their selection and discover the Hydra mentality. In the Pits is partnered with XTPL Events. The Extreme Tournament Paintball League is a series put on by the Lukow family of Paintball Fit fame that gives the opportunity for players to learn and grow together as a team. 3-man, Challengers and Champions X-Ball, Draft Mech X-Ball, and even Youth 3v3. There's something for everyone at XTPL. Not to mention prize tosses, raffles, and the infamous paintball munching contest. Events happen throughout the year, and the prizes never disappoint. Sign up for an XTPL event today on PB Leagues. In the Pits is partnered with Skull Monkeys Paintball. Equip, engage, excel. In the Pits is partnered with BEM Wraps. Behind every mask is a unique and creative player. Tap into it when you order your next custom headpiece. Their Build-A-Band lets you communicate with them one-on-one to make your order just the way you want, all the way down to the color of the stitch. Check out their Instagram at BEMWraps for drops and build videos of them working on orders. They offer very competitive pricing, so reach out today to get started on your own one-of-a-kind headpiece. In the Pits is partnered with Uno's Jerky. Made right here in the state of Texas by JC Limon, Uno's has some of the best tasting jerky around, and each flavor has ties back to Texas paintball. I personally recommend the Texas Titan flavor. Head to unosjerky.com and use code PITS10, where a portion of every purchase will go back into the Texas paintball scene. In the Pits is partnered with Compete. Compete is a Texas-based brand by Jell Stewart of professional team AC Diesel that provides custom jerseys, pants, headbands, straps, tech shirts, and any other soft goods to help individuals and teams compete at the highest level. Support Texas Paintball and message Compete on Facebook or Instagram and mention In the Pits Podcast for 10% off your entire order. In the Pits is sponsored by FU Athletics, created with a purpose and focused on building a better you. We are a brand that matters in your workout, and every purchase gives back to cancer research. Go to thefuathletics.com and use code INTHEPITS25 for 25% off of your order. In the Pits is partnered with Get Dat Shot. Get Dat Shot now offers first-in-line photo and video editing, 20% off Get Dat Shot merch, and 20% off prints to all teams that wear the Get Dat Shot logo on their jersey. Message GetDat_shot on Facebook or Instagram to become a Get Dat Shot program team. In the Pits is partnered with Paintball Kumite. Paintball Kumite is a program designed by Colt Roberts of professional team San Antonio X Factor to take paintball players of all ages, experience levels, and skill groups and mold them into champions. The program breaks the game down into small, easy-to-learn sessions designed to help you master the fundamentals so that you can elevate your game. Newcomers to the program get a free 1-hour introductory class when mentioning In the Pits. To sign up for a class, message at Paintball Kumite on Instagram. Welcome, everyone, to episode 55 of In the Pits Paintball Podcast. This podcast is focused on everything that has to do with the paintball scene here in Texas, from professional players and teams to new divisional programs, local tournament series, field owners, Texas-based brands, even photographers and videographers. Every week, we'll have a short and sweet episode with a new topic and a new special guest. I'm Christian Smith. I'm a player for the Texas Titans, and this episode we are going in the pits with Jonathan Chavez, player for semipro team PaintballFit.com and finals MVP of the NXL Mid-Atlantic Major. Jonathan, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good, Christian. How are you?
Feeling good? Doing good? It's great to get you on. It was good playing with you. What was it, 2 weeks ago now at XTPL?
Yes, actually, it was 2 weeks. 2 Saturdays ago it was the XCPO Champions that we have at Paintball Fit. Next one's actually in August 11th and 12th. People who don't know. So
Yeah, I saw they changed. They didn't change the date, but they switched the days on which divisions are playing on which days. Like I know that the Challengers and the Youth is going to be on Saturday, and then Champions. And I want to say they flopped the days. So I know that Champions is on Sunday now instead of Saturday, and then I think Youth is on Saturday.
Yeah, you're correct. They switched dates. I believe it's to help accommodate players playing another tournament that weekend, and so it gives them the opportunity to, if they get knocked out, or for some reason, unfortunately, they get knocked out, or they just didn't go on due to point spirit, just situations like that. They still have an option to play another tournament since they're already up here in Dallas, on Sunday. So It's just more paintball for the players, and players just want to play more paintball. So why not? Play 2 in 1 weekend if you can. I would.
Definitely. Yeah, I know that's a little bit of a difficult situation there, but I think the way that they navigated that is probably the best possible outcome at this point, with us being, like 3-4 weeks out or something like that? Pretty close.
I believe so. It's about a month out now. I believe it's like August. Yeah, it's about a month and a week. So
Gotcha. All right. So go sign up. Go play paintball. Like there's a lot of tournament series here in Texas, which is a good problem to have. So go out there and play and compete.
Yes, but for sure play XCPS. Always play the XCPS.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get started. This first question is brought to us by BEMRAP. So let's start with the most recent NXL event. Paintballfit.com absolutely dominated. They mercied everybody in prelims. You got a bye in the quarterfinals where you 5-0'd GG Factory. You won the semifinals match 6-3 versus the newbies, and then of course meet up for the third time against Blast Camp in the finals. And you yourself earned the MVP for the event. So, the tournament can't go much better than that. But tell us, how did it go for you?
It went pretty well for me. But I also think it went pretty great for the team. We didn't have we lost one of our players following Texas. Just live. He wanted to do live, which we get. We didn't hold him back. We're like, hey man, do what you got to do. We're here for you. Let us know how it goes. We're not going to hold people back when it comes to that. We want people to do what's best for them.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, we were down and body in that situation. And then another one of our players named Caleb, he actually got sick the week off. But the one weekend we had it for practice, like he got sick and we just couldn't make it at all. So we were down to six bodies pretty much the whole weekend. And so with us just being able to just run, I guess that skeleton squad, as you would say, that whole weekend, and able to just come together as a team. Because that's just my thing. Like, yeah, I can do all kinds of cool stuff individually, but like I'm real big when it comes to what we can do as a team. Just because like we win tournaments and events as a team, like I can have a badass point, cool, but I can lose that point too. It doesn't matter unless you see the end result, and that's winning that match or winning that point. But with that though, sorry rambling on.
No, you're good.
But no, with that, I just seeing us come together, how can I say this? Just seeing us come together pretty much as a unit, and not letting anything, outside influence, players being injured, or, even our main coach, Coach Casey Harris.
Yeah, that's right. And Addicts came and filled in the spot for y'all, right, Richard?
Yes, Rich Atticus came in and he did a phenomenal job. Just to come in and step in as a huge role, especially for, as a coach for us, that's a big role to fill in. Most people don't think that, but having a coach and having that guy who knows everything that the other team knows or the other team does is phenomenal. Like, you need that, I think, especially whenever you get to the higher tiered, especially when you get higher up in the ranks. You need to know what that guy is going to do. Like with us, like with Haver, for instance, on GG, we know he's going to try to go break, like all the time, if not 99% of the time. So we're going to try to shoot for him first, get rid of him, and then work our way, off of that. That's the thing whenever it comes to those situations, like to the higher tier teams, is you emphasize on killing a key player or, just capitalizing on that situation. So
definitely. And I mean, that's all the more impressive that this event was like the most dominant event of the season. Like, you mercied 5 out of your 7 games, and to do that without your coach. So you had Richard Atticus, who's the coach of Dallas Vibe, step in, and then you lose 2 of your players from the previous event going into this one, and like just really tighten up as a squad, and just seemed completely unbeatable. Unless your name's Blastcamp, which even then, 0 for 3. So better luck next time, kids. So speaking of Blastcamp, this season in semipro, it's just y'all in Blastcamp, 2-horse race. Just y'all are the top 2. No one else is even close. So Fit's overall record this season is 21 wins and 1 loss, which I think was to Colorado Blitz over in Dallas or in Round Rock, and 3 out of 3 event wins. And Blastcamp has only lost to y'all in the finals in 1-point matches, and 2 of those 3 matches went to overtime, where, like, I remember the first one like came down to a 1-on-1 to win the tournament between, I think it was Nathan Abelhausen on Blastcamp, and I want to say Trenton Mason.
Yeah.
And then this one going to overtime as well was Scott Stewart making that huge move down the snake to close it out. So tell us, like, what are these finals matches against Blastcamp like for you guys?
Honestly, man, it's very nerve-wracking. Like, you kind of see, you kind of don't. It depends on how deep you look into it. But like, it really gets intense just because both teams have the same goal to win that pro spot. And you're winning it for the home field. We're winning it for Fit. We're winning it for us. We're kind of redeeming ourselves for kind of like that trial run we had with AC Dallas that year. So we're like, F that, we deserve a real chance in the pro. Like, with our guys, like, let's go with our guys. Let's go there. I'm like, yeah, I get it's our guys, but like, no, we're gonna come with our guys as Fit, our coach, everything. We're gonna come at it like that. But it was very intense, very nerve-wracking. You really can't make a mistake. You can't, because the other team, especially Camp, they know how to capitalize on mistake hard and huge. And hats off to them. They're a great team. I'll fight them in finals any day. But no, it was very, very nerve-wracking seeing, and just very focused too. Even though it was nerve-wracking, it was still very, like, you can look into our eyes and be like, 1, we want this, and 2, it's like, we're in it. Like, we're in the game, we're focused. Like, I remember one time, it was the overtime point. Made it to my bunker. I believe we got a kill, and then I died shortly after. And I was pissed. I was upset with myself because, like, I personally thought I left my team down because I shouldn't have died, especially in that very intense moment. It's overtime. Went from a 5-on-4 to a 4-on-4. I think I fucked up. So, like, I come off, just mad. I say it, like, I ended up throwing my mask because, like, I personally thought, like, I just threw this match away. Like, because I wanted to be the aggressor, and I got too up on, like, I guess my high horse. I got into it because, like, yeah, we gotta kill 5-on-4. Let me just fucking run at him when I should have just chilled, And so that's how it was. Definitely intense for sure.
Yeah, I mean, at that level, like especially y'all two teams, like with how close last year was, like it came down to just the finals against Notorious, and they ended up taking the series by a single point. And then, I mean, granted, of course, Blast Camp threw it away at Cup, but
yeah, both
like,
threw it away for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy to think, like, I remember going back to Ryan Brand's episode on the podcast, which was during the off season. You know, he was talking about the semi-pro race, and he was saying, like, it's crazy to think that, yeah, both y'all and Blast Camp were loading back up to go at it again this year, but at the end of this season, one of y'all is again not going to be pro, and it's just wild to think about.
Yeah, no, it is kind of intense, and yeah, it's just how the system is right now. Unless it's like, I guess, us wanting a change, or the league or players in the league wanting a change, it's just gonna stay like that, you know. And so people have voiced it, like, yeah, like they commented it, but no one's actually, like, I think, went up to Tom himself, like, hey man, have you tried doing it this way instead? Like, probably be a lot cooler. But who knows, you know. So I think whatever they do, hopefully it's just as kind of intense as this one team bump and one team goes down, because you really got to fight for it, you know. You really got to get that number one spot, to where, like, if they take top 4 and then the bottom 4 goes down or up or whatnot in semi-pro, then some teams, especially like that 4 teams, be like, yeah, I squeaked in, you know, to go pro. How are they going to do, you know? And so that's, you get like the counter argument when it comes to that point, you know?
And thinking of when the league expanded from 16 teams to 20 teams, the 4 teams that were expansion teams were NYX, the ML Kings, I want to say Columbus Level, and Scottsdale Elevation.
Yes.
And the ML Kings didn't make a single Sunday for like 4 seasons, until their first Sunday was like at World Cup in 2021, which they had to do in order to keep their pro spot and knock y'all on AC Dallas out of the league, which was like, okay, who had that on their bingo card, right? Nobody. For the ML Kings to make their first Sunday in 4 seasons, but
sure, 100%. There's definitely I'm a King believer, and I get it.
But like, it shows you, like, hey, even the 3rd and 4th place semi-pro team, they're gonna struggle big time. Like, Scottsdale Elevation was the team that got relegated the second season after the expansion. I think the first team that got relegated, I want to say, was Chicago Aftershock when the league first expanded, and then Elevation was right after them. So, like, I feel like in this season, like, you can definitely make a solid case for y'all and for Blast Camp to get promoted and do really well, especially given Blast Camp's result at the Astro event a couple of years ago, beating pro teams. But like, I don't think you can make that same case for the 3rd and 4th place team, which I believe is Annapolis A team and the Newbies.
Yeah, I think it's them too as well. I mean, the Newbies, I think, would make a good run in the pro with their roster. They're a solid team. You know, every time we face them, it's always a grinder. It's never really one-sided when it comes to them. That's always a battle with them. So hats off to them for sure on that, because I believe they do have Damien, and the first 2 tournaments they did have Mike Mesa, and this one they had Bukowski instead. So I don't know what's going on with that. But no, they were a solid squad too, for sure. But yeah, like how he said, like, I don't know if NXL would adapt to like that expansion of 4 or keep it with just 1, just because previously with that expansion, Scottsdale, you know, struggled and after, you know, getting relegated, you know.
Right.
So.
And who knows, like, you know, you always hear rumors of a team that is going to sell their spot at the end, like in the off season. You always hear that. So, you know, we may still end up seeing both y'all and Camp in the pro leagues next season, which I think would make it insanely more competitive.
I think so too. I think so too. If we both went up, but we shall see when it comes to that. We for sure want to take that pro spot by winning it. There's no plans for us to like buy anything. We never really were that type of people. We always wanted to outright win it, you know. So
for sure, and y'all are on track to do that. So this question is brought to us by Paintball Kumite, which is Colt Roberts' training regimen. What are the things that the team Fit.com is doing to become so dominant? So like, how many times a week are y'all practicing, either doing drills individually or as a team? When it comes to layout weekends, what teams are you scrimmaging? You know, things like that. What are the things that y'all are doing in your preparation?
For sure, we always do our night balls. We always play the night balls with the guys, with either the players or pretty much against ourselves. If there's not that many people, we're always like, hey guys, you know, it's night ball tonight. Let's go out. You know, or if there's a good amount of crowd there, then we'll do every other point. So like we'll let the guys, the people who are actually paid to be there, they'll go play first, and then we'll hop on the next point as fit. You know, we'll run against each other. You know, that way we keep each other accountable, because we always do it. Like if you get hit by a bounce, and if you didn't break, you play on, but he's like, you let each other know. It's like, hey man, by the way, you bounced me over here. You know, because we're always trying to shoot like real good paint. So if it bounces, it actually bounces. It's not like 2-star, 3-star, and it bounces like, hey, man, you bounced me right back there. I'm like, yeah, no, duh. Like, I'm not. We're shooting real good paint when it comes to that. So that. When it comes to actual practice weekends, we keep each other very accountable. Getting there pretty early. Like we'll even call each other out, like in the group chat, and we like to call the late people the late boys. So like you're late, like, oh, part of the late boy squad. So a little bit of bullying and antagonizing definitely helps people getting there on time. But no, we don't go crazy. We're not like fucking training 9 to 5 every day, you know, play points in the morning, take a lunch break, play points. No, we don't do any of that. We all have, you know, normal jobs. Me, Trenton, Mason, and J Money or Jacob Johnson, you know, are at Paintball Fit. Them two, they weld throughout the day. I help run the field, make sure it's good for the weekend. You know, make sure it's not falling apart and looks nice. You know, Colt, Johnny, and Brody Lukow, and their parents, they actually own a shoe repair shop here in Waxahachie. And they're there practically, 9 to 6, 10 to 6 every single day. You know, and so it's not like, oh, we're around the gun 24/7. No, we do stuff, and then we play our paintball, or, you know, we do what we need to do to play paintball. And so, but no, with the guys, 100% keep each other accountable. You know, asking each other, hey, you should do your drills today. If we're supposed to do drills or something that night, usually it's like, hey, you do your stuff. Or like this past weekend, I know a lot of us took a break because it was back-to-back weekends for a lot of us. Like we went straight from Philly straight to our XCPO event. Like our only really break, if it was a break, was that Monday split from Sunday to that next week, just because a lot of us, like pretty much me and the Luke House, had a setup for our XCPO event. So pretty much as soon as we landed, we slept throughout the morning, or slept the day. We slept throughout the night, and then we just got up and just started getting ready for the event. So it's all very family run. You know, very few people on the outside that come in and help. You know, and if the people that do come outside, people outside that do come in and help, you know, they're kind of close too with us. You know, so.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know, like, especially watching the webcasts whenever y'all are on the finals field, like one thing that the semi-pro webcasters and Maddie Marshall always says, like, that Paintball Fit are just, all of y'all are elite gunfighters. And it seems like that's the main thing that y'all, or at least they harp on, is the gunfighting. Do you think that, you know, playing 3 nights a week with night ball Wednesday and then Saturday and Sunday, and especially night ball's format where it's just hopper ball, do you think that has really sharpened your gunfighting skills?
It's definitely sharpened a little bit, for sure. just because of the fact, like, yes, you are very limited when it comes to paint because it is only hopper ball. But also helps you just break down the field a bit better too. Like you would think like yourself. It's hard to explain it, but like you pretty much just think about yourself and like just on the field and be like, okay, what can I get away with? You know, using other bunkers to block you out, even though they're not in front of you. You know, yeah. And so just trying to figure ways out to break the game open, and it forces you to communicate with your team because you can't just run at them. You know, like yeah, you can, but you only get so far, and then next thing you know, you're effed. You know, especially when it comes to hopper ball. So it forces you to have your team connect with your teammates and let them know, it's like, hey man, I'm over here and I have like this much. Like, can y'all go up on that side? Like, what can y'all do to help me out? Like, I did my job. Like, I'm already up here drawing these guns. Like, can y'all come up now? Can y'all like get into the snake or something? And that's why I like playing with the fit guys because we've all played together so long that we kind of know each other's tendencies. Like with me and Colt, me and Colt play so long together. Like he knows whenever like I'm feeling antsy or like he kind of sees my leg twitching, like oh, Chavi's gonna want to go. Like let me get over here and try to connect with him before he goes or something. Like he knows, like he knows the body language, you know. And that's just with us playing all the time with each other is the fact that we just tend to learn each other's tendencies. And like me, like I'm not gonna lie, I struggle when it comes to communication sometimes because I just get into it. Like I even like snap myself out. I was like, shit, and then I'll let them know. And Colt knows, like he'll tell me, he's like, Chavez, Chavi, and like he'll use my first name, like Jonathan Chavez. I'm like, what's up? I'm like, my bad, what's up? And he's like, what do you have? How can I help you? Like, don't push. Like, what do you need from me? And then I'm like, okay, I'm like, I need this, this, and this. And then he'll go and break the game open. And so that's why I think I like I love the guys is because yeah, they're great gunfighters, don't get me wrong, but they're also phenomenal at breaking the game open. Like it's kind of great just seeing them break it open, you know, for the team just because you're like, oh shit, like okay. And so like it's just cool. Like, you know, especially like because you do your job and then you see your teammates doing their job and it's just a great feeling. You know, because you want everybody to succeed. You know, you want all your homies to succeed on the field. So
Absolutely.
why not?
And
why not get lies or your heart get pumping when you see your homies, you know, doing that?
Yeah, for sure. So one thing that I do want to make sure we cover a little bit is the part about the teams that you're scrimmaging on the layout weekends. With y'all being at the same field as AC Diesel, are y'all often getting to scrimmage the pro teams that come in, or like what kind of teams? Like I know for the layout weekend for this last event, y'all were playing Shut Up or Trying and Tribe, but other than that, like, are y'all usually getting to scrimmage the visiting pro teams?
Usually, yes. Every time they come and visit, usually we're like incorporated in those plans whenever they do come. Like, I believe one time it was Infamous, the Kings, and Diesel. That was a 4-way split. And I believe that was right before Florida, if I'm mistaken. Either Florida or Texas. It's a lot goes on, but no, like we'll Cole and Johnny will like reach out to MJ and they'll just figure something out. It's like, hey, who do you got coming in? And if they unfortunately go somewhere else, like Diesel goes somewhere else, and we will tend to stay here and scrimmage. You know, like I said, the local teams like Shut Up, you know, and try to help them out, but help each other out at the same time. You know, because once we as fit break down the field and actually know like, okay, this is how the game breaks down, or this is how you're supposed to kind of work the field, then we let Tribe and Shut Up know. We don't just keep it secrets like, oh, like keep your dirty secrets. No, we let them know like, hey, this is how you do it, you know. And every time we play Shut Up or Tribe, we're always giving each other feedback. Like it's great. You know, they're some of the best divisional teams to practice against, you know. And so that's just our thing is feedback. But no, with that, like yes, like we will scrimmage teams if they come in. This last event, unfortunately, no teams did come in. I ended up going with dynasties somewheres, and I don't know.
I want to say they went to Louisiana to scrimmage the Hurricanes.
There it was. Yeah, it was them. It was the Hurricanes, and so yeah, it was just whenever they bring in teams, we will do tend to practice them, and most teams are not most teams. I say practically all teams do enjoy scrimmaging us. We do tend to give them pretty good looks and be respectful towards them, you know.
Well, that's awesome that y'all get that opportunity. Like, not many semi-pro teams are getting to scrimmage against professional teams regularly. Like, I know Blast Camp has that relationship with Houston Heat that they get to play with them. Just, I know that Ronnie Dizon is local to that area, so they have a little bit of a relationship there. But it's cool that y'all are getting all of these looks, and I'm sure that's helped y'all a ton with your try to like attempt to get back into the pro league. So
yeah, it definitely sees how we kind of stand with those type of guys, especially like, you know, Infamous and all them. You know, they're a top 10 team in the league, I think. You know, and we go toe to toe with them. You know, it's not ever really one sided. You know, it's very, very butting heads. You know, kind of like two rams just hitting each other just constantly. It's just we're always at each other. So not in the back.
Yeah, it's also cool to see like, hey, this is a pro team coming in, and we're a semi-pro team, but we're gonna let them know how it's done here in Texas, because there's all these Texas boys know how to ball.
Oh, 100%. We definitely just play, man. That's honestly how we do it. We just ball out and we get on each other too. Like, even if like we don't use that excuse like, oh, we lost a point against a pro team. Like, nah, fuck that. We're like, we lost a point. Like, how do we lose this point? And so like it gets pretty heated. I get it. And so, but it's because we all want to win. You know, we're all half of us are sore losers. I admit it. I hate losing. So I just win.
No, we just call it staying hungry is all.
Stay hungry. There you go. Stay hungry.
All right. So let's back up a little bit to your history. So this question is brought to us by XTPL Events. So for those listening that maybe don't know about you, how long have you been involved in the Texas paintball scene?
I kind of put my foot into it like in 2013, 2014, like right after I graduated high school. I was big in sports in high school. Like, I played baseball. I was in the marching band. Yes. So like I was very outdoors. Like, even like during summer, like I played. I don't know if you heard of it. It's called Ultimate Frisbee. I played that big time, and so I was just very active. And so like after high school, I was like, oh, what can I get myself into? Not in a bad way, but like, how can I keep myself active? And then I played paintball like once or twice, like in middle school, back at Outlaw, like when they had like not that big building, but like they're like it's kind of like one of those like mobile home type buildings. Very like, it was, a lot of people might not remember it, but it was old, and like the castle, like their castle base or whatever, was like at the entrance instead of way back where it's at. So like it was big changes. But like I remember going there at that time whenever it was just for rec, and kind of liked it, kind of enjoyed it. My cousin, I went because my cousin had some stuff. Like, he had like a mini GS, like the Inver Mini, like that was badass, you know, back in the day. So I saw that, like, oh, let me play. But I got into it in 2013, 2014. Kind of took like a year or two break because tried the college thing, didn't work out. And so I just played paintball and got into the workforce, and the rest is history. Just as I went on through playing paintball, just more opportunities opened up for me, and then the final door on me moving up here to play for Paintball Fit / pretty much be an adopted brother / live with the Luke House, you know, opened up for me, and it's been amazing ever since.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know the good people over at Outlaw Paintball are real proud of your journey, and they've got pictures of like you back when you were a ref there, and
yeah. Yes, I remember that one. It's hanging up. It's me and the I think it was HTPS. It was whenever, or
It would have been, I think, either Houston Paintball League or CTPL or something, one of those.
It was one of those two, way back in the day. I remember that, and we're all just laying there. Yes, that was a time. But yes, I do. Tom and Deborah Schaefer for sure. They're amazing people, great people, and I definitely do thank them for always caring for me whenever I was there. Playing under Outlaw Destruction Crew.
Definitely shout out to Tom and Deborah. So what are some of the teams that you've played for over the years?
First team was Outlaw Destruction Crew, or ODK. That's how they called it. After that, I went to, it was Notorious, I believe. It was Notorious for a little bit, and then it was either Victorious or Ultra, because it was ODK first. Then I went to Notorious. I believe it was Notorious. It's all a blur, but I do know the teams who I do play for. It's just, but actually, no, it was Notorious first. Duh. It was Notorious. Played with them for a little bit, and then I got invited to play for a D4 team. It was practically one of those things where, like, come play for us, we'll cover things. And I'm like, I'm in. So I went to go do that, and it was based out of Texas Paintball in Jonestown, Texas. And I'm going to go play with them for the 2018 and 2019 season. Did that for that year. And then I played one event, and that's kind of where my journey with Fit started. It was the Victoria Ultra year. Because I played Vegas and Texas with Ultra, and then I couldn't afford Philly. And so since I couldn't afford Philly, I told Ultras, like, hey, I can't go or whatnot. And then Fit needed a body, because one of their players, Jeremy Zimmerman, when he was playing for them at the time, he actually, his flight got like massively delayed because of weather. So they were like, yo, like, can you come, like, play with us? Like, was like, we'll help you out. Like, just come play. Just show up and come play. Like, help us be the body, be an extra body. It's like, the thing is, you might not even play Saturday, Sunday. We just need you Friday. I'm like, F it, like, I'll go. Like, like, if I get invited, why not? And so I ended up going playing for that, won first place. Yeah, ended up winning that event with them. I guess I did pretty well for me as my caliber as a player, at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess it was just well enough for the Lucas to be like, okay, I see something there. And so I ended up finishing out, and they said it too. It's like, hey, they even told Ultra Victoria, it's like, hey, since he can't afford it, like, can we have him for Philly? Then y'all can have him for the rest of the events. Like, we just need him for the body. Like, they're like, he's not going with y'all anyways, so why not? Type of situation. And they're like, oh, he was fun. But did that, and then pretty much the rest is history. Finish out the season, help get Victoria the season, win the season or whatnot for NXL. And then pretty much right at the end of that year, after I was practicing at Fit, and Johnny just comes up to me. He's like, hey, man, it's like, you've been thinking about it. And it's like, we want you to be a part of Fit. Is that something you want to do? And I was like, fuck yeah, hell yeah, I want to be a part of it. And the rest is history. Here I am.
Yeah, so that's a lot of teams, and it's cool to hear like all of these different names, like Notorious, like Victoria, like all of these players have on these different teams are like, look where they are now. Like a couple of those players that were on Victoria now are on Notorious, and they're a professional team. Notorious's team is professional. I know, like, before you joined up with the fit.com name, you played with several of those players on a team that you didn't mention was Dark Horse. Like, you had played with several of those guys already.
I didn't mention Dark Horse. I literally played with Trenton and Cole on that team, and Caleb and like my homies. Like, that's whatever. Yeah, it's Dark Horse. I remember Dark Horse year that was the 2019 year. That's what it was. So that year was great. Oh man, playing in those tournaments.
Yeah, and like in Texas, players that if you're moving in and out of different teams, like you're playing with the same guys, and even though you may be on the same roster one year, a different roster another year, like you're still moving up the ladder together. And everybody, like in Texas, even though the scene is so huge, like especially the good players, like they've all played with each other and they all know who each other are.
Exactly. And so when we all like I said, especially with Texas, you're like, oh, I know that guy, he's really good in the snake, or like that dude's pretty great in the Doritos, or something like that. Just stuff like that, like, because, just based off just playing all the time, at all these fields, you just see it.
Definitely. So yeah, this question is brought to us by Skull Monkeys Paintball. Tell us, how did you get into paintball to begin with?
I think the first time was for sure like just to go with my cousin, if I'm not mistaken. One of them was kind of a birthday party. Yeah, it was a birthday party / my cousin invited me. And he's like, hey, so I want to try this paintball thing out, or like just pretty much that. Let's just try paintballing. So did it once. Never went back again because it hurt. And so yeah. So had that happen, did that with my cousin, and then yeah, like I said, it hurt. And then afterwards, I was like, you know what? Let me try it again. And after I tried it in my senior year, I just got hooked. Really, it was definitely trial and error, because the first time I did not want to come back. I was like, nope. But no, it was definitely a birthday party / my cousin inviting me.
Mm-hmm.
Or
cool, man. So like how did you get from there to wanting to play tournaments?
So when I first got into it, back like in the 2013-14 year, I actually worked at Outlaw for a little bit. So I kind of saw the tournament scene whenever I was set it up, the field, or if I like just ran rec ball games, I would see that side, and I always think like, oh, like that's kind of dope, and then like at that time too, I think it was at 12.5 BPS too. It was like 12.5, 12.8. It was fast as shit. So you're like just fucking going. And so I see that and I'm like, that's intense. And also the person that I worked with, I remember his name's Nathaniel, and like he was pretty chill dude, and he worked at Outlaw with me, and he was kind of like one of those like older guys that like just ref. And he got into it, and he actually kind of had like those cool ass, before I even knew it was a rare thing, those bandanas, those Proflex bandanas. Like he was big on that, and like he had like all of them. And so like I was like, oh, that's cool, like, and in the back of my head I'm like, look at this guy. In reality, he had like $200-$300 pair of working frames, so. But no, like with that, like I would see him bring his stuff out, and like he would have like a mini, the mini GS, and that was kind of the thing, around that time, is to have, I guess, a mini and axe, those guns. And so I'll see them, and then they'll be playing, and I'm just like, I kind of want to get into that. Actually, one of my first guns, excuse me, I remember this vividly because my mom got mad at me, like absolutely pissed at me. I used pretty much my first paycheck to buy a paintball gun from so she was mad because like I vividly remember, it's like, where's like, because I never gave her money. Usually I gave her money to put into my bank account because she would handle all my financial stuff when I was younger. And she would ask like, where's, like, you've been working here for me, like, where's your paycheck? I'm like, and it's been like a month. So I was just like, where's your paycheck? Like, oh, like, I don't know, it hasn't come in yet. And like trying to play dumb, my mom, what's going on? And they ended up came in and it's like, oh, I bought a paintball gun, and it's like a doo-doo brown ion. Ended up paying like $180 for it, if I'm not mistaken, and she was not a happy camper. But pretty much that is like, I spent my paychecks on like that stuff. I practically, like, my parents never really supported it, honestly, until like now that I'm way older, and then they see like, oh snap, like you actually can do stuff with this. Like, I'm going to Paris to play paintball. Like, who can say that, you know? And so that's just one of the things that this is one of my favorite memories for sure, is with that whole gun thing. But
yeah, back in the Axe plus cash days for sure.
Yes, but no, that's how it pretty much started. Is I just saw people playing, saw them just shooting each other up, and then as I was working, I'm like, you know what, let me try that, and then end up getting like those invert baggy pants for like $40. Like, I remember, now that you saying this, like I remember it all now. Like I bought stuff from like online stores, like, you know, just to get the stuff. Like, I'm making my own purchases because, like I said, my mom and dad never really supported it. You know, they support like all the other sports growing up, like baseball, you know, and all that stuff. Like, I went everywhere when it comes to that stuff, but they didn't really see paintball as like that's quote unquote that sport, you know. Now they actually see it. Now that I sent them pictures of me traveling and, you know, winning, and, you know, actually, you know, going across the country, you know, for paintball, you know, they see like, okay, like you can actually do some cool shit with this. Like, okay.
For sure. So, and were you part of the team last year when Notorious won their European Pro spot? Were you part of the crew that went over for that?
Yes, I was. So that crew, honestly, it was just one Notorious player, and that was Marky.
Yeah, and the rest, it was like you, Mark Johnson, Colt, Johnny, like basically just Fit plus Mark Johnson and Marky.
Practically, yeah. And so like that was the whole thing, because I don't know how the situation happened. All I know is they're like, hey, like if you can get over here, like we'll cover it, but like you got a ball. Or like, well, we're getting over there. And so we ended up like emergency appointment doing an emergency appointment for like the passports and paying like $30 extra to like skip the line or whatnot. Like, it was a whole fiasco, but we got it done, and we went there and we did the thing. Show some America on them.
Yeah, and you dropped what, like 3 points the whole weekend or something like that?
Yes, we lost. So I think we lost like the first point in prelims, and I could just tell it pissed us all off after losing that first point, because we were like, fuck that, and we ended up going on a tear the rest, and then we lost one point in finals, and then like one more like along the way. But for sure at the beginning, because I don't know what, we just, after losing that point, even with Brody Lukel, he's kind of like the quiet child of the family. He just tends to just let me listen to my books, and we're like, we get it. So like, even with him, like I saw murder in his eyes. I'm like, oh my God, like we're winning this. Like, he did not like losing that first point, and ever since then he even went on a tear. So I'm like, yes.
Sick. Awesome. So this question is brought to us by Uno's Jerky. So head to unosjerky.com, use code PITS10. So throughout your 8 years now involved in, or actually it's more like 10 years involved in Texas paintball, what are some things that you've seen change over time in the Texas scene, either for better or for worse?
For better, for sure. Seeing, I guess, the leagues expanding, mainly with like XCPL, for sure. Like, that's expanding to a bigger event. Like, they're now using 3 fields when it comes to their event, and that's good, especially when it comes to the North region. You know, because it'll bring players down from like Oklahoma and all that. You know, and you want that, especially, you know, being a huge state as Texas. You know, you want a lot of players, a lot of people. Seeing like, just seeing the paintball fields in general, like revamping their fields, or like, you know, doing some work on their fields. Mostly like fit down, you know, just because like I grew up playing at Outlaw, and now I'm finishing it off here at Fit, you know, and just seeing like fields, and that's the thing. Like you don't want the paintball scene to die, especially like when it comes to the central region. Like you can't. Like you want the paintball companies that were already established, like fields that are already established here. Like you want them to succeed because they put in like all the work. Like with Fit, Outlaw, and X, like and Delta too, all the way down in the south. Can't forget them. You you want family built / for the players fields out there. You don't want fields just coming in like, oh, we're just gonna fucking build a field and take over. Like, nah, man, like that's just not cool. Like you got to do it for the players. Like that's what brings back the people. Like with JD and them, like when it comes to the XCPO events, like they have price tosses. Like they try to get back when it comes to that. Like and they don't you don't pay to be a part of the price toss. Like like, hey, give me 10. Like here's $10. You go in this little area and you can get as much pricing. Like no, like literally during a break, you're like, all right, like if you want, come over here. Like we're gonna be just throwing all kinds of product off. And they do. Like they throw freaking. I saw Aspire 4 flying the other day, the last event. So I'm like, it's just that's just my thing, and that's what I'm big on is fields for the players, and that's what I notice is an improvement on with the field is they're actually becoming more for the players, and hopefully the leagues will catch on as well. Other leagues catch on as well with that.
Definitely, and you're seeing that more and more, like even with, I would say, like the current fields that have built up recently over the last few years, like especially in Houston, like you've got Splat Zone, the indoor field where they actually just completed an outdoor full size NXL field, but they've been doing a lot with hosting like 1v1 tournaments, 3v3s, like a lot for the local players. Obviously Wasteland Paintball Park opened last August or last September, sometime at the end of last year. And like, they're really building a community, especially around the Outlaw anodizing team.
Yes.
And then, Zone's been around for the longest time, and you're seeing that over in Houston. You're seeing that up, Fit's always been about the community, and X Factor there's so many D5 teams coming out of X Factor lately. It's insane. So watching it happen all over Texas is just like, yeah, we're really like forming all of these different communities just around the field. And yeah, it's great to see right now. I feel like paintball's like, that's why we've been saying this whole time, like paintball is really strong in Texas right now.
Yes, and it is. We want to keep it strong. You don't like that's the thing. It's like we're doing what we love, so why would we want to let it die? Why would we want it to, I guess, burn down or fade away? Like we don't want that. We want the sport to grow. We want people to come into it. Like just this past weekend, actually, J Money brought out his neighbors and his kid to come play. Like he didn't have to do that, but he actively went out and it's like, hey, come play paintball. And what do you know, the dad's like, oh, you're gonna be seeing us out here more often. And that's the thing. Like that's what we want is we want, players to go out, bringing in, people on the outside, like, hey, come look at what we do. Like, people just think like, oh, you play paintball, like you hide behind your bunkers like this. Like, no, it gets intense. Like it gets kind of insane. Like, we're screaming at each other, we're cussing at each other. But shit, at the end of the day, like we're all going to go have a beer together. We're all going to go eat wings together or something, or like we're literally hugging each other out after sweaty and bloody knuckles. That's the thing about the sport that nobody sees, and I wish people do see on the outside. It's like, yeah, we shoot each other, but at the end of it, like we're like the nicest people to each other. Like we're just competitive. That's all.
Yeah,
so
for sure. And I mean, there's a lot of people that have come back into the game recently, I think, thanks to a lot of players out there that are extending that, hey, come play with us, or hey, I'll let you use my setup for a point or two, things like that. We're really seeing the community grow because of those players. And Yeah, it's great to see. So real quick in the chat, we got a lot of love for you. Shout out to Dan Shelley, saying Chavo is the man. Watch out for him when Fit hits pro. See, shout out to Chris Harrison. He says Cooper says hi.
What up, Coop? What up, Coop? It's my boy Coop right there.
And then, of course, Texas Menace in the chat with the hot tamales. Yeah, hot tamales is fun playing with y'all. Let's see, Jessica is in the chat. Soda's in the chat. What's up, y'all? Warzone Matt's in here as well. So one last question about kind of your background. So I want to cover specifically the 2021 season under the AC Dallas names, because I feel like that's a big part of your story and a big part of like your current redemption arc that you're on. So tell us about that 2021 season under the name, and then also like how was that season different versus how fit.com currently operates?
So pretty much how it started, it was just right after 2020 Cup. 2020 World Cup. We took third at Cup. We're like, okay, this is what it is. Let's get ready for semi-pro. At that time, there was rumors though of AC Dallas, players leaving, and so we were kind of like at Cup, like hearing this, we're like, oh, okay, whatever, and not paying much attention. We go about our day and go about our week, practically go about our month and our off season, and then come around like the end of November / beginning of December, I was visiting my fiance. She lives in North Carolina, so pretty much December is like I go up there to spend time with her because we're so busy during the year. I was over there and they're like, I don't know if it was a call or a text or something, but they're like, hey, like, what are your, it was like calling them, like, hey, well, like, what are your thoughts of, playing for AC Dallas, Greg's asking us, pretty much to save it, try and save it. Everybody practically left. They all got offers, they're done. And so we're getting called up practically just like tie dog getting thrown in there, really. And we accepted. It's not like we didn't know what we were getting into. It's like, no, we accepted it. We accepted the challenge. We're like, okay, let's see what we can do to see like if we can do this, So I get that text and call. I'm like, yeah, let's do it, man. Like that's my goal in general, anyways, just to play pro paintball. Like I'm here now. Like, was it earned? No, I guess you can say that. Because it was kind of like, hey, come play. It was more of an asking thing. It was like we didn't win it to get there. So I get how people are like, oh, like, I guess I get where people are saying that whenever they're like, oh, like they don't deserve the chance, whatever. I'm like, you can say that all you want, but like I don't personally believe like that was a full real chance. You know what I mean? Like me, especially me as a player, and then my teammates as players, like we're drastically different from that 2021 season to now. Like we've matured a ton as players. Like, we actually, that's just the thing, is we matured just a ton as players for that, and that's why I think when it comes to hopefully when we win next two, we'll get that bump, we'll be ready. But when it comes to, go back to the AC thing real quick. I'll snap my phone. Go back to the AC real quick. That's just, we just got asked. So like, all right, let's try it. Worst case worse, we get relegated and we come back even stronger. Best case scenario, we just keep going. We do decent, we stay out of that, spot, and we're okay. First event, it goes pretty well. Win one, what I think goes pretty well for practically jumping straight from D2 to pro.
Right.
And at the fact that like a lot of us as players skill wise was nowhere near as we are now. So it's like it's just a drastic change. It's like you would notice it night and day. You're like, yeah, that's different. So I mean, first event, I think we ended up getting like bottom 18 or bottom 15. the bottom 20 for sure,
Mm.
like 16 and below. I think it was either 16th or 18th. We win one match, whatever. I actually think we only ended up winning like 2-3 more matches the rest of the year, if that. Lots of them were close. Lots of them were blowouts. Yes, especially with the more powerhouse teams like Dynasty, Heat, like those teams. Like, you know, we were definitely closer with like against teams like Uprising, MO Kings, you know, teams in that nature. But no, we just pretty much just tried it. You know, we did the thing the whole year. We did our drills. You know, practically morning and afternoon. Like, just did our very best to just catch up to the rest of the teams. You know, when it comes to skill wise, playing wise. You know, playing as a team. You know, we definitely knew they were ahead of us on that part because all these pro teams have been together for years, minimum 5 years plus. You know. And so they have that chemistry and whatnot. And really on our team, who really has that chemistry, I can say at that time, was the Luca brothers, because they played together practically all the time. But they played together the most out of that group. And so that was just the hard part, you know, is that aspect. But we tried it, did the whole thing. You know, we had, I think at the end, somebody had to, I don't know what team it was. Like, I think he said
It was the ML Kings, yeah.
Kings. They had to not do how they did, and then we'll be fine. And then, but they didn't, which it is what it is. You know, I like Kyle Berry and them. They're cool dudes. You know, no hard feelings against them. That happened, and we got relegated. And so a lot of people, most teams were like, you know what? We're done. You know, we tried it. It's not gonna work out. Like, if we didn't work out now, it won't work out in the future. You know, but that wasn't the case for us. You know, for us, we're like, fuck that. We're coming back with a vengeance. You know, we didn't really truly get a full shot. You know, there was just a bunch of like background stuff that we thought of, just with when it comes to like the coaching staff, that felt like they weren't there all the way. If that makes sense.
Right.
Like,
I mean, that's a tough position to go into. Like, you didn't even play a full season of D2.
Like, we literally had like two tournaments, and that was Vegas
and Cup of 2020. Yep.
2020. That was it. Like, we didn't have anything else. We didn't have Philly, Chicago, or Florida. Or no, we have Florida. That's Cup. We didn't have Philly, Chicago, or
Texas.
Texas. There it is. Texas. My apologies. So like, that's 3 tournaments we kind of didn't do anything, and that was COVID year. So like, we were very limited on what we can do, you know, outside. You know, like the field, I believe our field was shut down for like half the summer, and so they're like, okay, you can start opening stuff up. So like yeah, we did our stuff somewhat, but we kind of like at the same time we're like, kind of no vacation, you know, let's just chill out. And we did, you know. But after that 2020, then finishing the 2021 season with that whole situation, we definitely were hungry to come back into it. So whenever we came into the 2022 season swinging and then didn't finish the job, you can definitely bet your ass like we're coming even harder, and we're not stopping for anybody, you know, this year.
Mm-hmm. And you know? I bet like part of that is, hey, you're under your own identity again. Like fit.com is your identity, whereas AC Dallas, like, you're being asked to come fill the spot and fill the name, but that's not really who you are. And so I'm sure that was a bigger part of it. Like, as far as when you were on AC Dallas versus going back to the fit.com name and semi-pro, was like, as I know you mentioned a little bit of the coaching staff aspect, like, was it whenever you went back to being fit.com, were you retaining the same coaches, or how did that work out as far as the support staff?
So we retain for sure the support staff. Like, I mean, the support staff is just, it's the parents, the Luke House, JD and Sarah Luke House, phenomenal people in the pits. They're just they run a tight ship, and we appreciate it because it allows us to do our job, on the field. But support staff kind of stay the same. It's more the coaching aspect made a big switch. Like, Casey Harris was our coach, kind of co-coaching at the AC Dallas, but he would always kind of get like overwritten or overruled by GP. And so like now with this year, it's all us. It's all Casey Harris, Johnny, Cole, me, Scott, us. We're literally scouting ourselves. Like, it's for sure. It's Zozo, Casey Harris, Rich, and then anybody we kind of like trust. Like, it kind of bounces back and forth when it comes to like the scouting, because we're very picky when it comes to our scouting. Like, we're like, okay, he goes here, does this, like that. Like, it's very picky. Like, and so, but it helps in the end. Like, when it comes to like playing in the event, like I know everything. Like, I feel like I can read, like I'm reading a book practically. And so like reading a book as in like I know everything what they're gonna do. Like, no matter who it is, like I know this snake guy's gonna go here. Like, okay, fine, I'm gonna go to this side on D side. Like, he can't see me here, or like he can't do shit to me here if I'm in this spot. Like, I don't care where he's at in the snake, And so when it comes to the change from AC to fit, I mean, I think we all practically all retain the same. It's just that big coaching change whenever Casey practically took it on fully, and made the play calls, or like he sees the shit that he sees and lets us know. Like, that's for sure one of the big changes, and he's done a phenomenal job at that.
Yeah, I mean, it shows in your results, right? 3 for 3 this year. You won several events last year as well. So yeah, it seems like a much better fit overall.
100%. And also, like, since he wasn't, also had to give him a shout out for this, because even though he wasn't there with us in Philly, he would legit still watch broadcasts and highlight stuff and send it to us in like our little group chat. Like, hey, I noticed this, and this. Even though he's not there, he's helping us. He's just phenomenal. And I don't know where else you can find that, So very appreciative of him, and he's awesome character.
Definitely. All right. So let's see. Looking at it in the chat, we got Joe Torres saying, "Proud of you, kid. Keep chasing greatness."
That's my dad.
All right. So next question is brought to us by FU Athletics. Go to thefuathletics.com. Use code inthepits25 for 25% off of your order. So looking at your career up to this point, do you have a single favorite moment?
Most people would think it's winning the MVP, but it's not. Honestly, I think it's one big moment on enjoying this journey with the big guys. It's really hard to pinpoint one memory when all your memories are just so good with them. Like just going to the events like all last year, even if whenever we didn't win an event, we still try to make the best of it as a team, and we'll like always talk to each other like, hey, I'm gonna do better this way, or I'm gonna do it better this way. I think those are really my favorite moments, is everybody is keeping each other accountable and keeping themselves accountable. And you need that, especially whenever you want to make a professional team. These players like in the MLB, NBA, NFL, that makes millions of dollars, like, the higher tier players, they admit their mistakes. The ones that get paid the bigger bucks, and the guys that are lower, like, they admit their mistakes and they work on it to get better at those. And that's what I love about us as a team, is we do that. Is like with me, I know my communication sucks. Like, it's not the best, but I try to make it a point to, whenever I'm practicing, like, I make it as best as I can to communicate. Like, sometimes I even push down the field. Like, I'm a very aggressive person when it comes to the field. Cole and them can tell you that. They'll know, like, I rather not talk and just go attack. But I'm trying to work on, being that teammate. I'm like, I don't always have to attack and just chill and be like, hey man, they're over here, and then work off of that. But I think there's really not an absolute favorite like memory I think just making all these memories with the Lucals and pretty much my brothers, is the greatest memory, I think. Like whenever I get older, I can't wait to tell, eventually when I do have kids, I can't wait to tell my kids my stories, like the shit I did with them. Like, we got into mischief, like freaking, there's this, it's just more funny, there's, at ICPO, it was me and Johnny, we were getting ready, we weren't getting ready, it was Friday, at like it was ICC, the last ICC they had, not ICPO, the last ICC they had, and we weren't playing just yet because we played for Hydra 10-man on Saturday. But we were there just to watch the games for 5-man, and Trenton was playing with the AC Empire team, so we could show him some support. And then Greg's just like, "Hey, I need a body." It's like we need a body. Like this guy didn't show up or whatnot. And like Greg's asking me, I'm like, "I don't have my stuff." It's like, "Well, you have like 45 minutes. Can you run and grab your shit?" And we didn't live. Our hotel's like 10, 15 minutes away. So I looked at Johnny. He's like, "You think we can do it?" He's like, "Oh yeah, we can do it." so me and Johnny, we run, and it's. Have you ever been to ICC or just that park?
I have not.
So where they have like where the booths are at, and kind of like where we park, it's a pretty long trail. Like it's decent. It's a decent. Like you actually need kind of a cart to go back and forth for the paint and whatnot. So we're running, and we parked on this hill where it's at. So we're running and get into the car, and we thought at the end of the hill there was like you can go down it and go like onto the road. There's like a little path on the backside you can go, and so we're going down. We're in the parking area just going, and I'm looking to my right, and I'm like, it's not getting steeper, like it's not getting lower, it's getting higher. And so we're looking, and we're like looking around, like there's no, like it just drops off. And like I look at Johnny, like it just drops off, like we have to turn around. And then he looks at me, he's like, or we go down this hill. there's a hill where they park, like right over it is a hill, like straight up like a roller coaster. You go like down at like a 45-degree angle. And so I was like, fuck it, let's go. And so I'm like, I don't care, we're in the riddle. And so I look at him like, let's go, let's do it. And so he's like, bring your phone out, record it. I'm like, bet. So I bring my phone out, I'm recording, and as I'm recording, we're just getting higher. And I'm just in the recording, like, oh, and then you can hear like, oh snap, like there's no end, and just saying that. And next thing you know, I was like, all right, here we go. And so he turns, and as he turns the corner, it's like one of those roller coasters that does the clicking, how it pulls you up. Mm-hmm. It's like that. And then as soon as you reach the top, you just see like downhill. We're like, oh shit. So we go, and then he lets it go. He just goes. He presses the gas lever and goes on the hill. He tries hitting the brakes. They don't work.
Oh no.
And we're like 40, 45 miles an hour down this hill, and like where he like went, there was a metal grate. And so like a metal grate where the concrete goes for the water. And so we're going, I'm recording, and so Johnny's like this, and all you hear is just like just bracing for impact. And then you just hear it go scoosh, and we go up. Airbags didn't deploy. I don't know how they didn't play. We should have been knocked out, hands down. Airbags didn't deploy. We ended up being just fine, and I got our stuff. I got my stuff, made it back just in time, and yeah, I think we ended up winning for AC Empire.
I mean, after all that, you better win, right?
It was great. And then coming back was the best part, because it was even better, because we make that turn, because like how the park is, it's a 4-way intersection. You have to take a right to go towards the park. So we take the right, and when you do, you see the hill. So we turn, then we look to our right, and you can just see a trail of like just grass that's been mowed down by the minivan, and we're like, that's awesome.
Love it.
Yeah. So honestly, all memories are my favorite side. If I could pick one, that's definitely one of them.
Those are the great moments. It's not the on the field stuff; it's the off the field stuff.
Oh, it's definitely, we are crazy. Yeah, we cause mischief for sure.
For sure. All right, so I looking now to like the future and the rest of this season. So this question is brought to us by Hydra. You guys are in control of your destiny this year. Like
Yes.
you're in the driver's seat for the semi-pro series and earning that pro spot. So what would it mean to you personally to make a return to the NXL Pro Division, this time under the Fit.com name?
I think it'd just be more meaningful to us because we actually earned it. You know, we had one win to get there, two, face all kinds of adversaries on the way. You know, losing players to injuries or to significant others because real life. You know, just situations like that. You know, most teams, when they lose players, are like, I'm out. They're like, I can't find another player to replace him. Like, we're done. Like, but no, like, we're like, you know what? Like, fuck that. Like, we could still be this badass team.
Mm.
Like, you know, when we lost Rogers, Scott and Brody really picked it up. The not the slack, but picked it up on point playing wise when it comes to the one in the snake. You know, like they absolutely killed it when it comes to that. You know, fortunately, yeah, we didn't want to lose Rogers. Like that's especially him with that flow. Can't lose that.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, it happens, and so just being able to just overcome situations like that, you know, back, you know, real life stuff too as well, off the field stuff, like how you said. You know, with me, it's definitely for sure really hard for me because I am a long distance engagement with my fiance. Shout out to her, Evelyn, by the way. She's phenomenal. She holds it down for me and she really keeps me going because there are tough days, you know. I don't have a good practice day or like, you know, me and the guys, you know, not bigger, but like get onto each other so much. It just flushes, not in a bad way, but it's just like in a flustering way because like you're just like, I just want everybody to be the best, you know, like you just that type of way. And so it just she definitely holds it down. You know, we're in a long distance relationship, so that's tough. Like she lives in North Carolina for now, for a couple of months until we get married in September, and then she'll come down here. But you know, all this year, all last year, all of 2020 season, you know, COVID year, you know, we've been in a long distance relationship. You know, it's tough. There's times where like, yeah, I get upset. You know, who doesn't miss their significant other? If you don't have a heart. But that it's just like that. You know, with you know Johnny, Cole, and all the other guys. You know, with their significant others, like Trenton, and Lauren, like she lives all the way down south. But he can't just go there. Like he runs a business up here. Like he runs a welding business, so he has to stay here. So it's just those type of situations, like you know, with everybody, you know, their significant others, and they see that you know we're putting this time and effort, and you know, being time away from our loved ones to do this. So actually, like having it all come together, you know, winning together, you know, seeing all that pay off, it feels great. It feels amazing, you know.
Mm.
Shit, you shed some tears, you know, because you're just so joyful, you know, you're just so happy for yourself and for your teammates, you know. I think
Right. I
being
mean, it's a big sacrifice, right?
100%, you know, and it goes all the way from pro to Division 5, you know, to beginner, you know, the sacrifice is everywhere. You know, it's not just in one division, it's everywhere. And so if people are willing to make that sacrifice, you know, they deserve some good, I think.
Definitely.
So,
And I do, I found it hilarious how you put it, you know, we lose guys to injuries, we lose guys to significant others, pour one out for the homies there.
dude, pour one out for the homies. I get it. And so, and that's why, like, I never, like, not look down, but be upset at people like that because, like, they're humans too. They have feelings too. Like, you know, so, and I get it. And so, and I tell them, I was like, as long as you don't lose touch with us and still be a homie, like, I get it, man. Like, just don't be a stranger. That's my thing. Especially when we shared a bed in the hotel. Don't be a stranger. Like, come on, like as bros, like we all know, tournament guys, like shit. We all share them queen beds at the Holiday Inns.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we shoot this sport's expensive enough. We got to save where we can, right?
Yeah, those $80 rooms are lifesavers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, shout out to I mean, y'all have been working really hard to get back there this year, and I mean, the race is really close at the top. Like even just like something as simple as y'all go 4-0, but your point spread is not as good as it usually is, and you end up in maybe like the 4th seed, and you end up on the same side of the bracket as Blast Camp for the semifinals. Something like that. Like, and let's say you take like a 3rd place or something at an event, and suddenly your lead's gone. And it's like it might not even necessarily be a match loss. Like it could just be point spread type deal, and then suddenly it's not a finals matchup. So this is going to be a big finale for this season. I think this year it being a 2-team race has made it very, very interesting, especially with how close it was last year.
Oh, 100%. Especially with last year was definitely a heartbreaker. But yeah, definitely last year, like this year is definitely us two are coming for a vengeance for sure. But we're hungry. We want it 100%. Like, just, and how I know is just seeing, like, whenever you kind of like when you're looking to your teammates, like, it's gonna sound kind of a little flamboyant, but like whenever you look into your teammates' eyes, like before a match or a point, like you can just see like this man wants to commit murder on the field. Like we're about to fucking win this shit. Like that's the thing. Like that's what I see whenever it comes to me and the guys. Me and the fit players, and it helps that you have Cole as pretty much your hype man. Like I'll be chilling, having a good time, pretty calm, and then whenever he starts, he's like, "All right, let's bring it up for the match." Like I already know, like it's about to get real, it's about to get hype. Like we're about to get locked the fuck in, and so and we do, and like he kills it when it comes to that, and I appreciate it because whenever I'm locked in, dude, like I'm locked. I'll be staring through your soul, like I'm coming.
Yeah, there's a ton of passion there, and I mean, you've all been working together for years and years, and grinding and making all these sacrifices together, and it's it's all going to come to a head here in a couple of months, and I think we're going to see what Texas team number 5 in the pro division at the end of this year. You got Notorious, Heat, but Heat. And then,
X.
Notorious, Heat, X, Diesel, and y'all. So that'll be a quarter of the league from Texas, and I think that's definitely fitting.
Oh yes, it should be. I mean, Texas is the most dominant state, I think, when it comes to paintball. So why not have a fourth of the division be us?
For sure. Now, what'll be truly wild is next year if we get a bracket where it's just all 5 Texas teams all together. That would be.
I would go rise on call like, what is your problem? Like, what is your problem? What are you trying to do here, man? So,
that'll be wild, but hopefully, we just show off like, hey, Texas teams are going to be dominant. So, one last question I have for you before we get here to the end. Do you have any shout outs to make for anybody that's helped you along your journey to the top?
Honestly, to a lot of people, for sure, the main ones are my fiance, Evelyn, and then the Luke House, and mainly Johnny too, because he's the one that truly, him, Cole, and Trenton, for sure, are the ones that truly believed in me from the beginning. Like I wasn't even supposed to play for AC Dallas, but they're like Greg didn't want me, but them 3 were very adamant. Like no, like you're bringing him too. Like it's happening. Like you're bringing him, and just the things that they do for me. Like and I work with them, for them, and they're just amazing people. People don't really see just how kind-hearted they are. Like they're very down. Like JD, like he's one of them. Like I see him, I literally call him dad. I literally call him and Sarah mom and dad, just because they would literally give their shirts off their back for me, and they're just phenomenal people. So definitely them, the parents, the Lucals, Evelyn for sure. She's been rocking hard for me, and it's tough. It gets real tough, and it gets tough too with her, just FaceTiming every night. It's rough, especially whenever like me, like I'm an affectionate person. So if I can't touch you or like touch you as a person, then I'm like, man, that sucks. So like with the guys, like we literally like with like the Luke House, we literally hug each other every day and like say I love you every day, just because that's how much we care for each other and just the lengths we would do things for each other, you know. And so definitely the Luke House family and Evelyn, huge shout out. And then anybody along the way that, you know, supported me, you know, I appreciate it. You know, y'all guys keep me going, especially when it comes to, you know, the long days or the long weekends. You know, you never want to make me quit. You just like, I think about it and I just like, I'm doing it for myself and I'm doing it for the people who are rooting for me, even though they don't know today's going bad, you know? And so that's, I gotta give definitely a shout out for all the people that support. Can't let them out. So.
Definitely. And there's a lot of people out there that are those people that help support those around them. Shout out to everybody there. So last question, the one that I ask everybody that comes on the show. Okay. And this is brought to us by Get Dat Shot. So message GetDat_shot on Facebook or Instagram if you need media coverage at Bunkerfest or NXL. And I'm not sure if he's going to the San Antonio USXBL here in 2 weeks. He might be there as well. Just reach out to him if you need coverage. So is there anybody in Texas, either teams, players, brands, media, project, anybody in Texas that has caught your attention lately? Who do you think deserves more recognition for what they're doing?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. You know, I think I'm gonna give. I think I'm gonna give it to pretty much all the teams that stay in the sport, even though things really don't go their way. If that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but no, like. How do I explain this?
No, I understand what you're trying to get there. Like just the teams that are like keeping at it.
Yeah, pretty much the teams are keeping at it. You know, the teams that don't win a lot, but they still come to every single tournament, give it their all, and still at the end hope for a win. You know, or striving for a win. I really can't. Yeah, I really can't say. I'm really spacing on this one. Other than that, like that's just my thing. Is those teams that don't give up, that keep it going, even though they didn't have a great season or a great tournament. Yeah, they keep it going. Those local teams is really what helps drive the community too. You know, not just the big name teams. You know, if you don't have the local teams, then you don't have these fields. You don't have these fields, you don't have these big tournaments, these big team names, you know?
Definitely. I mean, it's tough to keep a team going for, especially like for multiple seasons, or even if it's not the same team name, but the same players, maybe they rebrand under different teams. Like those players, like keeping it going for an extended period of time, it's tough to do. Like, especially here in Texas, it's so brutal to be competing event in, event out against like some of the names, especially like, I mean, shoot, D4 and D5 in Texas is a bloodbath.
It's a huge bloodbath. Everybody's fighting for that first place, and some of these teams have been in D4, D5 practically their whole team existence. So those guys are a little bit more seasoned, you know, going against these newer D4, D5 teams, you know, it definitely makes for some interesting, you know, tournaments and freaking some bloody days. So, but it's good because some of these teams, like, it I think will drive them. Like, oh, we didn't win, now we got to perform for the next one. And school teams need to be there, you know. Just no local teams, no paintball. I think it's just going to be all rec ball, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So shout out to all the teams out there that are, you know,
keep grinding.
Definitely.
Keep grinding, please.
Yeah, and stick with it, because the wins will come, and even if they don't come, you know, like all the important stuff is all of like the relationships and memories off the field anyway. So
yeah, that's a huge part of it
for sure. So let's look at a couple of final questions from the chat. Question from Let's see. From Eli Calvo, he asks, how does it feel to have a fan walk up and ask for autographs?
It feels pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I cheese a lot when people confront me. I just tend to smile. That's my thing. Even if it's a serious conversation, or like you can be like, somebody died, I'll be like, oh no. And, like, that's just my thing, is I revert to smiling. So like I'll be smiling even though I'm like inside I'm sad. But no, it's a for sure a great phenomenal feeling. Just because me personally, like, I would only think that's in professional sports. And in professional, I mean like, the network sports, MLB, NFL, NHL, those type, national network, national leagues, I should say. Like, yes, NXL is a national league, but it's not like on that aspect where fucking Fox, ABC, all of them are streaming, the games or broadcasting the games, and promoting it and that stuff. So actually coming to play and then, asking for an autograph, it's pretty great, because I would think that only happens, in the big leagues, especially in the only in the pro for, the NX, or when it comes to paintball. Because it's harder to watch divisional people play than it is than the pro league, because you got Go Sports, so you can just constantly watch it. And, they actively promote it too. Like, Diesel plays at this time, or Dynasty plays at this time. They post it, Facebook, Instagram, whole nine shebang. But no, it's just great, just because of that aspect. Like, you don't suspect it. And so, like, for me, I just play. Like, I play the game. I do my best to perform. And if I get fans along the way, cool. If I don't, that's cool as well. I'm not gonna let it bring me down. I'll let it affect me in a good way. If I start getting fans, like, I'm like, that's phenomenal. Like, I'm gonna just keep busting ass. It's not like I'm just like, oh, I got these fans, like, I'm chill now. Like, I got my fan base. Like, no, like, I want to keep working hard. That's my thing. Like, that's literally my life. Is I worked hard all my life. There's like, when it came to band, when it came to baseball, like, I'm only 5'7", weigh $120. These baseball dudes are like 6 foot something, jacked yokes, they can bench press, So whenever I was getting introduced to that in high school, like, I had to work harder. I had to bust my butt more. So with that, I think it's awesome, because I don't know, just getting autographs and just asking a person who actually busted their tush to get there. It feels better, because in my mind, I'm like, I worked really hard to get to this place, to get to this situation.
Definitely.
And it's finally paying off,
Yeah.
So.
And y'all definitely deserve all the recognition that you do get, and all of the fans as well. This question from Soda. He says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much fun do you have at the Mech X Ball events at FIT?
You can't even rank that. It's like infinite. It breaks that scale. Again, honestly, man, it's hard. It's hard to rank those Mech X Balls. Like, even if you lose, you're having such a phenomenal time. And like, you get drafted by us as the FIT players, so you get to kind of like poke our brains, see how intense we get, on the field, and you're like, okay, they kind of get real, but like, just the environment, everybody's having a good time. The sideline coaching, it brings back those old school ways. People like, it caters to the people who are like, oh, bring back, like, 15 on cab, blah, 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 bring back sideline coaching. Like, it kind of caters to them a little bit when it comes to the coaching on the sidelines, but then also shows like, hey, maybe coaching's not all that great. So, but no, it's a great time, honestly. Just the environment, the people, and just seeing and hearing people lose their voices because they're just screaming at the snake players, like, he's right behind you, or like just stuff like that, and just trying to get people's attention. It's great. It's pretty good.
For sure. Another question from the chat from Chris Harrison. He says, also scale of 1 to 10, how much fun do you have coaching the 5-man challengers?
Still a 10. Still another 10. I love the challenge. Like, whenever, I mean, he was a part of it with the first, Chris Harrison was with the first Let's Go Jams. And we won the January one. Like, he knows, like, I get into it. Like, I will dedicate my time and fight for, my team, the team I'm coaching. And so I just love it because then I just see all my other fit players coaching their lines, or like other, like, like Nico, I believe. Is it Nico? Yeah, Nico with Hypnotic. Nico with Hypnotic, and then Outlaw with Devin. Like seeing professional players actually putting their time and like getting teams to come play these events, like the Challengers events. It's just cool, and just it's great.
Definitely. All right. Last question from the chat. From Brandon Ortega of BEMRAPS. He says, is there anyone who you still play with from one of your first times ever playing?
Uh,
I mean, I know Dark Horse was fairly early on, and you're with most of those guys now.
Yeah, I could say Dark Horse. With ODK, not really. No, there are some players on there that do play. I do see them, of course, and I like, of course, make it away. It's like, hey man, how you been? Just seeing how they are. Like LD McCoy, I don't know if you know him. Like he played on ODK, now he's with Notorious. Just players like that.
Was Cal on ODK?
Yes, actually, he was on ODK. He was. Yeah, he joined in 2014 or 15, one of those years. But he was part of our Young Gun, like when they had the whole Young Gun thing. Like I think he was a part of that. So, but no, man, mostly it's just the Luke House from Dark Horse. And yeah, most of the guys I play with either stepped away, grew up, not grew up, but like just grew away from it. You really can't grow up from the sport. It's a sport, it's
right.
We want to treat it like a sport. You can't really grow up from it.
Definitely.
But he grew away from it. They're really only the players are definitely the Luke House from Dark Horse.
Gotcha.
That year.
All right, so that pretty much does it. So final question, which is brought to us by Gel Stewart's brand Compete. Message them on Facebook or Instagram and mention In the Pits for 10% off of your order of soft goods, which, speaking of Compete, we finally got our second run of tech shirts in, and we just mailed those out earlier today. So I think I messaged everybody that ordered them, but if you're waiting on your shirt, it's coming in the mail. It should be there Friday, I believe. So Jonathan, thank you so much for your time. Do you have any last shout outs or things you'd like to say before we sign off?
Honestly, thank you for having me, letting me explain pretty much my side of everything and through my eyes. Other than that, I think I gave a shout out to everybody. I mean, shout out to all the people, honestly, who supported me throughout my year, throughout my years in the sport. Especially a huge shout out to those people who are thinking of stop playing. Don't stop playing, keep pushing through what that hard time is now, and I promise you, it's going to be worth it at the end. But other than that, hope everybody has a great night tonight. And hopefully people enjoyed it.
For sure. This is a great one. So everybody that's online tuning in live, thank you all so much for tuning in. Be sure to go follow Jonathan. That's at J Chavo with 2 O's at the end on Instagram. What other guests would you like to see on the show? Be sure to leave a comment down below. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button. The show goes live weekly here on youtube.com/@inthepitspaintballpodcast, and recordings are posted to YouTube, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify the next day. Shout out to my partner and sponsor tier subscribers on Patreon: FE Athletics, Get That Shot, Paintball Kumite, Compete, BEMRAPS, Skull Monkeys Paintball, Uno's Jerky, Hydra, and XTPL events. We will see you guys next week for episode 56, where we will have Doug Bryant, who is he is a player and the captain of Elite, which is a team out of Lubbock. They're going to be competing in the upcoming USXBL event. So we'll get to hear all about Lubbock paintball. So Chavez, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Gracious, for having me. Have a great night, man.